Chapter 9. A Vivid Dream. Every inch of Miss Parsley's office had something to look at. Paintbrushes stuffed into jam jars like a bunch of flowers. Pictures of ships and anatomical diagrams hung shoulder to shoulder on deep blue walls. Phoebe imagined Miss Parsley could always find a home for something, from an unwanted ornament to a lost 11-year-old girl. "How can I help you, Katie?" she asked. "It's Phoebe." "Of course." Miss Parsley remained standing, and it made Phoebe feel rushed and flustered. "I don't understand what happened last night," Phoebe said. "I was in a room with Elspeth, Marie, Charlotte and Poppy. My things were in the trunk by my bed, and then—" "Just a moment," Miss Parsley said. She flicked through some papers on her desk. "We don't have any girls by those names. There's a Charlotte in the year above, but definitely no Elspeth." "What about Matron? I can't remember her name, but she has short, dark hair. She was looking after us. No banana skins in the bedroom bin," she said. "Sensible woman," Miss Parsley said, "but I'm afraid she doesn't exist. Not at Perivale." Phoebe scratched her head. "It doesn't make sense. I left my room at midnight. I was on the lawn out the front. It was raining." Miss Parsley sat down and took off her glasses. She rubbed the heels of her hands into her eyes. "Stop, darling," she said. "Have a seat." Phoebe sat and sniffed back tears of frustration. She felt she was going mad. When girls come to Perivale, they have to go through a great deal of turmoil. New friends, sharing a bedroom for the first time, new words, new rules. It's a lot to take in. She passed a tissue to Phoebe, who immediately blew her nose. "I think you had a rough first night," Miss Parsley said. "Perhaps when your parents dropped you off, the reception had already closed. You went straight up to the dorm and had a vivid dream. And that's what's making you confused." Phoebe shook her head. "It wasn't a dream. And if it was a dream, how did I lose my luggage? Mummy dropped me off yesterday and Clarissa Harding took my diary. I got up in the night and I stole it back from her right there. I've said it. I was in her locker with the golden padlock and then I was on the lawn and—" Miss Parsley looked at her watch. She stood up, popped her glasses back onto her face and smiled. "You must be going, young Phoebe," she said, with a smile that looked warm but felt cold. "I'll get in touch with your mother and get to the bottom of what happened. Okay, dear? In the meantime, I'll pop some casual clothes in your trunk and dig up a lacrosse stick." After a day of lessons, Phoebe returned to Dorm 7. In her trunk, Miss Parsley had placed a selection of mufti clothes, as the girls called them. The sizes were all over the place, but Phoebe was glad to be able to take off her tatty school uniform and pull on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. The picture on the front was the inside of a living room with a man lying on the floor. "What is that?" Phoebe asked. "Oasis album cover," Megan said. Phoebe looked at her blankly and Megan shook her head at the shame of it. "The biggest band in the world. Have you been living under a rock?" "Oh," Phoebe said. "I think my mum, wanted to go to their reunion tour, but she had to work instead." She looked around at the others. Jade, the only girl still in her uniform, stared at the ceiling as if she were asleep with her eyes open. Jessica read a book with the detective on the cover. Megan brushed Chloe's hair. "Who's coming with me to search for my trunk?" Phoebe asked. Megan said no. Chloe remained where she was, so Phoebe assumed that was a no for both of them. Alice swung her legs off the bed and laced up her trainers. She wore her red hair in a ponytail that only extended a finger length beyond her scrunchie. "I'll come with you," she said to Phoebe. "Jade?" Phoebe said. The young girl looked at Phoebe and smiled. "I want to, Phoebe, but I just can't be bothered to get out of bed. Do you know what I mean?" she said. Phoebe scooped up her diary. She never went anywhere without it, and dragged Alice by the hand. They left the dorm room and ran down the corridor. "Girls!" came a sharp voice from behind them. They turned to see a tall woman, with the straight-back posture of a prime minister or even a queen. She wore a slate-grey suit, and the only hint of warmth about her was the shade of burgundy on her thin, unsmiling lips. Alice and Phoebe remained on the spot as Miss Perivale, the founder of the school, approached them. "Little girls run," the headmistress said, "but why ever, outside of the sports pitch, would a lady run?" Miss Perivale stared down at the two girls. "Well, why are you running?" she said. "I'm looking for the lockers," Phoebe said. "Lockers?" Miss Perivale asked. Phoebe looked confused. She was near enough to the door which led to the locker hallway, so she walked the few steps to point. "These lockers—" "Oh." She looked in surprise at the hallway where she had raided Clarissa's stash of contraband. Carpet ran the full width of the corridor and paintings hung on both walls. To Phoebe's bafflement, there was not a locker in sight. "This is the locker corridor, isn't it?" "I don't know what you are talking about, young lady," Miss Perivale said, "but there are no lockers in this school. Why would Perivale girls need lockers?" "For their books, Mum," Phoebe said. "And there was one special locker with no padlock right here yesterday." Phoebe dropped to her hands and knees. She felt the carpet for an imprint of lockers, but found it perfectly smooth. "Get up!" snapped Miss Perivale. "Are you the girl who lost her belongings?" Phoebe nodded. "Yes, Mum. But I have a question. Is there another part of this building that looks the same as this? A different wing or something? Because yesterday there were lockers here, and my case went missing, and—" The headmistress rolled her eyes. "Enough," she said. "Get back to your room. I can see that your smart mouth is going to cause you trouble, young lady. We do not run in corridors, and we do not drop to our hands and knees to stroke the carpet like a house cat. Quite absurd." Phoebe and Alice returned to their dorm, keeping their backs straight and not saying a word to each other. "How was it?" Jade asked. "Terrible," Phoebe replied. "I think I'm going mad." Jade grinned. "How fun," she said.